TLDR. We can't stand our friend's boyfriend. What should we do?
Ooh.
Dear Allison and Gabby, thank you so much for Just Between Us. It really helps reduce my anxiety when I listen to your podcast while exercising. And it's totally worth how weird I look when I'm laughing my ass off during hypotheticals while walking around my neighborhood.
Yay.
I like your podcast so much that I wrote a review on Apple Podcasts to help you gain exposure, even though I exclusively listen on Spotify. You're welcome. Thank you, Dina. That's huge.
Thank you, Dina.
Anyway, on to the question. I'm very lucky to be a part of a tight-knit friend group who I deeply love. It's made up of people who went to college together and now live in the same neighborhood. I hang out with someone from our friend group almost every day, which is not only fun for me, but necessary to maintain good mental health because I'm an extrovert, I live alone, work from home, and have no pets or significant other. Someone else who we were friends with in college recently moved here and became part of the group. Jess, she, her, and Kyle, he, him. I made those names up. Were on and off during college, but now they're very much on and they live together in our neighborhood. Jess is someone who I really like, and even though she's a little younger than the rest of us, she and I are good friends. Kyle absolutely sucks, and he always has. He is constantly putting her down in little ways and making her feel stupid, and it's uncomfortable for everyone. If that wasn't bad enough, he is also the kind of person who is a little rude to servers sometimes, and he writes mean Yelp reviews about people. This is super triggering for me because, as all my friends know, I literally had to quit my last serving job because someone was trying to ruin my life via Yelp.
Was it Kyle? Was it secretly Kyle?
I mean, maybe. I don't like being around him, especially at restaurants. Jess's parents are rather wealthy and they pay for the rent on their shared apartment and some other expenses. I've talked to our other friends about this, and it seems really obvious to everyone except Jess that Kyle is just freeloading off her life. He has no job, no ambitions, and seemingly no interests other than mansplaining other people's interests to them. It's also concerning to me that she is only 23 and implied that she wants to get engaged soon. I guess we were hoping that because they've broken up before, maybe they broke up again, but it's not looking that way. My other friends and I are not sure what to do here. On one hand, we want to be able to talk to her about the fact that he doesn't treat her well. We don't want her to be isolated from the group, so maybe she could feel like she could leave him at some point. At the same time, it's draining to be around him because he just sucks so much. It's hard to be able to hang out with her without him because neither of them have other friends in the city and he doesn't have a job, so he's never busy. Also, most of our friend group is couples, so it doesn't really feel like an option to invite her without inviting him. I know that I could ask for just a girls' day with her sometimes, but it doesn't solve the day-to-day issue, which is that we leave her out a lot of the time because we don't want her to bring him. I find myself lying to her about my plans sometimes, and I don't like that. Do you think we should be honest with her about how we all feel about him? How can we do that without it feeling like an intervention? Or is an intervention okay? Should we try addressing his behavior with him? I feel bad not inviting her to things because of him, but he's just so awful. Any advice would be helpful.
Man, oh man, oh man. Okay, so I have been on the side of this, and I've also been on the side of the thing where everyone hates my partner.
Oh, really?
Girl, multiple times.
Wow.
First of all, everyone fucking hated
Oh, yeah.
Everyone hated him. And also, nobody liked Rex from
Oh, really?
Nobody. I mean, when we broke up, all of my friends were like, thank fucking God. Like, they were thinking about, like, not including me in things. Like, it was that bad. Like, to the point where, like, I hear now that they were doing this, that they were like, we love Gabby, but, like, we cannot be around this person. And I didn't know that people felt that way. But part of me did know. Like, part of me, like, had it in my heart. I think that Jess must have some inkling. I think there is a part of her that knows. So I have a thing where in college, my friends did sit me down. And this is there's a difference between a boyfriend who sucks and a boyfriend that's like abusive. And I also think like hearing like that he puts her down and that he like, if he's just mean to waiters, it's like that he sucks, whatever. But I think you have to be really attuned to the way that this person is treating your friend in public. It's gonna be worse in private. And I think that because he's putting her down and saying mean things to her and stuff that like affects her, that is when friends of mine sat me down and had an intervention, basically took me to a bar and were like, we can't be around this. This person is not nice to you. This person doesn't treat you well. And it worked for a little bit. I mean, obviously, like, Patty and I were back together on and off or whatever, but having them say that did reach me. And again, in that situation, a little part of me knew. I think when you're saying that Jess has no idea or whatever, I don't think that's true. I think part of her already knows this is my experience. And you talking to her about it, I think is correct. I just worry like that kind of thing escalates and you don't want to have sat by. Like you can say, I don't like how he talks to you, I think.
Yeah, this is one of those questions where it was like, I don't know what the actual advice is here. I don't know like what like mental health professionals would say or what the right route is. But like my gut instinct, which again could very well be wrong, is like that I think that it is potentially worth maybe you having a one-on-one discussion with her instead of like with the group, because that can maybe feel overwhelming and like you're ganging up on her.
Mm-hmm.
But to have that thing of like, hey, like, I just wanted to sit with you and be like, I've noticed some stuff about how he talks to you that like, you know, bumps for me. And I just wanted you to know that like, I'm a safe space for you, that like, if you want to talk through things that are going on in your relationship, if like this sort of stuff you notice like is escalating, like, I just wanted to like, let you know that like what I've seen and that like, it doesn't feel right to me. And I'm here for you and that I'm a safe space to kind of talk about this stuff.
I love you. I think that you are great. I don't think what he's saying is correct. It's hard. If it is a group, then it's less likely that she'll be like, oh, Dina has a problem with Kyle. Versus like if it's the whole group of you, it was easier for me to think of it as isolated incidents without everybody. I don't know how. It might have been easier for me to hear it from everybody at once. Not like he sucks. You don't have to mention the waiters thing. But I think you should say, like, we love you. We think you're great. And we don't like how he talks to you. And we think you deserve someone who thinks you're amazing and who talks to you in a different way, a better way. I think maybe there's something to the group of you talking to her about it. Unless each of you wants to do it individually, everybody individually. And you've planned like, okay, this 1 week, we're all going to hang out with her individually and everybody's going to say something.
It's such a touchy thing. And I mean, the thing is like, I think you should try talking to her either alone or maybe with one other person. I think like when it gets more than that, it's going to feel like a intervention ganging up of thing. But let's just say that you say that and the person is like, no, you guys, like, he's just teasing me. It's not a big deal. It doesn't bother me. Like, you're overreacting. It's like, okay, so you've done your job of saying these things worry me. They've blown it off. Now what? Right? Like, do you keep hanging out with this guy? Like, what are your next steps after you've had that conversation?
I think you should talk back to him. Not talk back, but like, I think if he's rude to a waiter, you can say that was rude.
So that's interesting of like when he says that shit to her in front of you to like call it out.
Yeah. To just be like, if he's like puts her down, be like, that's not true. She's great. Or like, you're being mean. And this is a thing that I think like people socialize as women are like, you know, not to be confrontational, not to do that. Then like he goes home and he's like, your friend Dean is a bitch or whatever. But like, I think like when people were like, that's mean. One friend in particular who I love, a couple friends, I will say two guys that I was friends with in college were both like, to my college boyfriend would be like, that's not okay. Would say that to him. That started putting bells in my mind about it. So I think you can, or like if you can be like, I don't think you should talk to waiters like that. And then just see what he says.
Yeah, right. So that's interesting. Like maybe then he'll want to stop hanging out with you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I find it okay to be like direct like that. Like that was mean. Even just like if he's like puts her down or something, like her job is stupid or whatever, something like that. To be like, I don't think it's stupid and I think Jess is great. Yeah.
So sort of like changing the dynamic of when you are hanging out with him, that you are consistently calling him on his bullshit and see what that, you know, try that, see what happens. Like, because he might dig his own grave by reacting so poorly that maybe she can't ignore how he's reacting. Maybe he'll listen. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe he'll decide, hey, why don't you go hang out with your friends? I don't want to come because they're constantly confronting me.
Or if he's like, I mean, I think this is good practice for a lot of people. Like, if he's like, you say he's like mansplaining other people's interests, like it's a good thing to practice saying to men who do that, I know that already. I don't need you to explain this.
Yeah.
And then just zip it. If he sucks, like treat him like someone who sucks.
Just between